London, September 7th, 1978. A man waits quietly at a bus stop near Waterloo Bridge. Rush hour fills the streets. People hurry past. Nothing seems unusual. Then, a stranger bumps into him. The man feels a sharp sting in his right leg. He turns around. The stranger simply apologizes, picks up his umbrella, and disappears into the crowd. 4 days later, the man is dead. No gunshots, no knife wounds, no obvious poison. Just one tiny puncture mark. What investigators would eventually discover would become one of the most famous Cold War murder mysteries ever recorded. This is the story of the poison umbrella. The man Moscow wanted silent. The victim was Georgi Markov. Markov wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a spy. He was a writer. Once celebrated in communist Bulgaria, Markov later fled to the United Kingdom. From London, he began broadcasting for organizations including the BBC and Radio Free Europe. His broadcasts criticized Bulgaria's communist leadership. Millions listened. His words embarrassed the government. And according to historians, they made him a target. The sting. On that September afternoon, Markov was walking across Waterloo Bridge. As he waited for a bus, a man carrying an umbrella brushed past him. Markov later told colleagues that he had felt something like an insect bite. When he looked down, he noticed only a tiny red mark. Nothing seemed serious. The stranger calmly hailed a taxi and vanished. By evening, Markov developed a fever. Doctors believed it was an ordinary infection, but his condition rapidly worsened. His organs began to fail. 4 days later, he died. Doctors were stunned. Healthy people didn't simply collapse like this. Something wasn't right. The tiny pellet. During the autopsy, investigators made a shocking discovery. Embedded beneath Markov's skin was a microscopic metal pellet, barely larger than the head of a pin. The pellet contained two tiny drilled holes. Experts concluded it had likely been designed to release a deadly substance after entering the body. That substance was believed to be ricin, a highly toxic protein derived from castor beans. The dose required was incredibly small. It was almost impossible to detect. And at the time, there was no effective antidote. The discovery transformed the case from a mysterious death into an international espionage investigation. Who was behind it? British investigators quickly suspected that the assassination had been carried out on behalf of Bulgaria's Communist Security Service. Many historians and former officials have also linked the operation to assistance from the Soviet KGB, citing the sophisticated weapon and intelligence cooperation between the two services. However, many of the alleged KGB details have never been conclusively proven in a court of law. The identity of the man with the umbrella has never been definitively established. No one was ever convicted of Markov's murder. The killer seemed to disappear, as silently as he had appeared, leaving behind only questions, and one unforgettable umbrella legacy. The poison. Umbrella became one of the defining symbols of Cold War espionage. It demonstrated that intelligence agencies could reach far beyond their own borders. A crowded London street, a busy bus stop, broad daylight, none of it guaranteed safety. For decades, intelligence services around the world studied the case, not because of the weapon itself, but because of what it represented. A perfectly planned operation, a nearly invisible method, and a message that political opponents could be reached almost anywhere. Even today, the phrase poison umbrella remains synonymous with covert assassination, a reminder that during the Cold War, some of the deadliest weapons looked completely ordinary. Ending the man with the umbrella was never publicly identified with certainty. The murder remains one of history's most famous unsolved espionage cases. One tiny pellet, one crowded street, one silent assassin, and a mystery that still casts a shadow over the Cold War.